Senator Hagerty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Administrator Schiffer, Secretary Ratner, Secretary Crittenbrick. It's good to see all three of you. I'd like to talk with you about the investment strategy that we do undertake, and I know that each of you have different tools. Secretary Ratner, you've got the Office of Strategic Capital I'd like to hear about. Administrator Schiffer, you've got the microfinance program that you're dealing with, and Ambassador Crittenbrick, we talked about the strategy document that you're putting together. I'm deeply concerned about our ability to show up, particularly when it comes to hard infrastructure in the region. And I may have shared this with some of you, but when I was in my previous role as ambassador to Japan, I was literally reading in Nikkei Asia about a bankruptcy that was underway in the Philippines. The old Subic Bay port, the Hanjin shipyard there, a South Korean shipyard, was in bankruptcy. The two bidders' names were of concern to me, and I reached out to the appropriate people and found out that those two bidders were both affiliated with the PRC. They were trying to take control of a very strategic shipyard, one that had been a U.S. Navy post back in the 80s when I lived in Japan the first time. And I was deeply concerned about that and what we might be able to do. I won't go into the details of it here, but we put a tremendous amount of effort into trying to address that situation. And that asset now is called Aguila Shipyard. It's now a U.S. asset. It's a very strategic asset for us in the region. And the way we got that done was by me making a lot of phone calls, the State Department, the Department of Defense coming together on an ad hoc basis, Cerberus Capital Management in New York taking a very important leading role in doing all of this, and the Japanese government stepping up and helping us as well. We worked with the Philippine government, with the Japanese government, certainly with the U.S. government to make all of this happen. It probably took the better part of 2 years to get it to work. And the Development Finance Corporation, which I thought would be the tool that we could use to really step up the U.S. government's participation, was unable to participate in this. In fact, we were not able to get any U.S. government direct participation. A lot of effort, a lot of elbow grease, but not direct participation. So I'd like to come to you, and I'll start with you, Secretary Ratner, to talk about the new Office of Strategic Capital. And is this a means, a tool by which you might be able to do hard infrastructure? I know you talk about technology here, but is that a tool, or are there other tools where you could step up and play a more direct role?
Yep, Senator, I can, we'll get back to you specifically on the Office of Strategic Capital as it relates to the Pacific Islands. What I will say related to infrastructure, we have a number of major posture initiatives underway throughout the Pacific Islands, obviously in U.S. territories such as Guam and CNMI, in the COFA states, in Marshall Islands and Palau. We have some major projects underway, and of course, last year concluded a defense cooperation agreement with Papua New Guinea, and have already had one Indo-PACOM site survey team down and another one on the way to start looking at some of the infrastructure projects that we can do there. So we do see this as a huge priority. It connects to the development and economic issues that we've been talking about this morning, and we are looking to do more throughout the region, and some of those projects are included in the President's FY25 budget request.
I would encourage you to take a very hard look at the Philippines, too. There are more assets there, I'm sure you're aware of. The Chinese Communist Party has great interest in that region. We should have a great strategic interest in projecting our own relationship. I've been very happy, frankly, with the relationship that we built with the Philippine government and the direction that's going, but I think we have a lot of opportunity there. Secretary Crittenbrick, could you speak to this in terms of your thoughts, and as you prepare the strategic document that you promised to Senator Romney, I'd love to hear how this infrastructure piece may fit in.
Well, Senator Hagerty, first of all, thank you for your leadership on the Philippines example you mentioned. It's still one of the best textbook examples we have of a success story. I would say what we're doing right now is we are focused, especially with other partners, on trying to catalyze investment in key infrastructure in the region. Certainly the subsea cables is probably the place where we've been most active. The East Micronesia cable, work on the Google cable, and elsewhere. We've also partnered with Australia. We announced in October that we were going to co-finance maritime infrastructure in Kiribati, including at Canton Wharf and Charlie Wharf. So certainly we're focused on the infrastructure issues and, again, giving countries options in the region. Secondly, to underscore what Assistant Secretary Ratner said in the President's FY25 budget request, there's a $4 billion discretionary request and a $4 billion mandatory funding request. And the mandatory funding in particular is designed to allow the United States to be able to fund hard infrastructure projects and to invest in what we call these strategic connectivity projects in the region.
If you all could get back to me with a little more detail on that, I'd be very interested to see
Yes,
how
Senator. Thank you.
your plans unfolding. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.